If this is your first time here, this channel is simple. At the end of your day, when the noise has settled and the world has finally gone quiet, we take a book that actually matters and we walk through it together, slowly. No rush, no agenda, just the ideas, delivered at the pace of someone who wants you to actually absorb them. So get comfortable, let your body get heavy, and let's spend the next little while putting something worth keeping into your mind before you sleep. You made it to the end of another day. Whatever it held, the noise, the demands, the moments that didn't go the way you hoped, you can set all of it down now. Right here, right at the edge of sleep. Tonight we're going to spend some time with a book that has quietly changed the way millions of people think about what they want, why they don't have it yet, and what's actually standing in the way. The Vortex by Esther and Jerry Hicks. It's a book about alignment, about the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and about why closing that gap has less to do with trying harder and everything to do with feeling better. If that sounds too simple, stay with it. By the time we're done tonight, it will make a different kind of sense. Let's begin. First, a little background on where this book comes from, because it's unlike most books you'll encounter. Esther Hicks has been at the center of one of the most unusual and enduring movements in modern spirituality for over 4 decades. She describes herself as a channel, someone who receives and translates wisdom from a collective non-physical intelligence she calls Abraham. You don't have to believe that literally for this to be useful. Many people who get enormous value from these teachings treat Abraham as a useful framework, a way of thinking, a perspective that happens to be remarkably consistent and remarkably helpful regardless of its origin. What Abraham teaches at its core is this: you are a vibrational being living in a vibrational universe. Your emotions are not random. They are a guidance system. They tell you at every moment how closely your current thoughts are aligned with who you really are and what you really want. The Vortex is one of the most focused explorations of this idea, specifically applied to the things people want most: love, connection, relationships, a sense of belonging and being truly seen. So what exactly is the Vortex? Abraham describes it as an energetic state, a vibrational place where everything you have ever wanted already exists. Every desire you have ever launched, every preference you have ever formed, every dream you have ever held, Abraham says, has been received and held in this place. Waiting. Think of it like a stream. You are standing in it. Everything you want is downstream. The vortex is downstream. And the only thing required to get there is to stop paddling upstream. That image is central to everything in this book. Abraham uses it constantly. Upstream is effort, resistance, struggle, worry, trying to make things happen by force. Downstream is ease, alignment, allowing, feeling good. Most of us were taught that the right response to wanting something is to work harder, push more, try with greater intensity. Abraham's teaching flips this completely. The primary work, they say, is not action, it is alignment. It is getting yourself into a feeling state that matches what you want. And then, from that place, inspired action flows naturally. This can sound passive. It isn't. It's actually a more demanding discipline than simple effort, because it requires you to manage something most of us have never been taught to manage deliberately: our emotional state. Now here is where the Vortex gets specific in a way that sets it apart from other Abraham books. The focus here is relationships. Not just romantic relationships, though those are covered in depth, but the relationship you have with everyone around you. Friends, family, co-workers, strangers, and most fundamentally, the relationship you have with yourself. Abraham makes a claim that is worth sitting with for a moment. Every relationship problem you have ever experienced has the same root cause. You were out of the vortex when it happened. You were in a state of misalignment, a state where your thoughts and feelings were not in harmony with who you really are and what you really want. And from that place, you attracted, or created, or amplified exactly the kind of relational experience that matched your vibration. This is not about blame. Abraham is very clear on this. Blame is one of the fastest ways to stay out of the vortex. The point is not to feel bad about where you've been. The point is to understand the mechanism, so you can begin to use it differently. Let's talk about what it actually feels like to be in the vortex versus out of it. When you are in the vortex, you feel good. Not necessarily euphoric, not performing happiness, but genuinely at ease, open, appreciative, interested, hopeful, loving. There is a quality of lightness to it. Things feel possible. People around you seem more appealing. Opportunities seem more visible. When you are out of the vortex, you feel the opposite. Closed, heavy, irritable, worried, resentful, critical. And here is the key thing Abraham wants you to notice. When you are out of the vortex and you interact with other people, you almost inevitably find things wrong with them. You notice their flaws. You feel unseen by them. You feel let down. And here is the profound shift this book asks you to make. Those experiences are not caused by the other people. They are caused by your vibrational state. When you are out of alignment, you are literally tuned to a frequency that can only receive certain kinds of experiences, and those experiences confirm what you already feel. It is a loop, and the only way out of the loop is not to change the other people. It is to change your own frequency, to get yourself back into the vortex first, and then, from that place, to engage. This brings us to one of the most important teachings in the book. Abraham calls it the art of allowing. Most of us, when something bothers us, when someone disappoints us, when a relationship feels painful, respond in one of two ways. We either fight, we push back, argue, try to change the other person, make our case, defend ourselves, or we collapse, we withdraw, give up, suppress what we feel, tell ourselves it doesn't matter. Abraham says both of these responses share the same problem. They are both reactions to what is. They are both forms of resistance. And what you resist persists. What you push against pushes back. What you give your attention to, whether in anger or in fear, grows. The art of allowing is something different entirely. It is the practice of being so focused on your own alignment, so committed to your own good-feeling state, that other people's behavior simply has less power over you, not because you don't care, but because you have found your own center. And from your center, you can choose how to respond rather than simply react. This is not indifference. It is freedom. The freedom that comes from not needing the world to arrange itself in a particular way before you allow yourself to feel okay. Now Abraham addresses something that most of us carry without fully realizing it, the habit of using other people as the reason for how we feel. He or she made me feel this way. If they would just change, I would be happy. If this relationship were different, I could finally relax. Abraham calls this conditional love, love that is contingent on the other person's behavior. And they say with great gentleness that this form of love will always disappoint you. Not because love is impossible, but because you are outsourcing your emotional well-being to something you cannot control. The invitation in the Vortex is to practice what Abraham calls unconditional love, not in the sense of accepting mistreatment, but in the sense of finding your way to a good-feeling place regardless of what anyone else is doing, making your peace independent of their behavior. This sounds extraordinarily difficult, and at first it is, because most of us have decades of practiced habit in the other direction. But Abraham says even small movements matter. Even reaching for a thought that feels slightly better than the one you just had. Even a tiny shift from resentment toward curiosity, from worry toward hope, from criticism toward appreciation. That shift is real. It changes your vibration, and your changed vibration begins to change what you attract. Let's talk about what Abraham says about desire itself, because this is where the book becomes quietly radical. We are taught, in most cultural and religious traditions, to be careful about what we want, to temper our desires, to be grateful for what we have and not ask for too much, to manage expectations so we are not disappointed. Abraham says this is completely backwards. Desire, in their teaching, is sacred. Desire is the engine of all expansion. When you want something, that wanting is not a sign of lack or ingratitude. It is a signal from your deeper self, from the larger non-physical part of you, toward growth, toward more life, toward expansion. Every time something happens that you don't want, you automatically generate a desire for what you do want. Abraham calls this launching a rocket of desire. And they say that rocket goes immediately into the vortex. It is held there for you. Ready. The only question is whether you are in vibrational alignment with it. Whether you are, in your dominant feeling state, a match to what you have asked for. And here is where most people get stuck. They want the relationship, or the love, or the connection. But their dominant thoughts about it are rooted in its absence, in the fear that it won't come, in the evidence of the past that it hasn't worked, in the worry that they are somehow not enough to receive it. Those thoughts, however understandable, are upstream thoughts. They are moving away from the vortex, not toward it. The practice Abraham teaches is to find ways, any ways, even small and seemingly silly ways, to think about what you want from a place of positive expectation rather than worried longing. Abraham offers what they call processes throughout this book. Practical techniques for shifting your vibration. Let's walk through a few of the most useful ones for bedtime, for that quiet space between waking and sleeping. The first is called Appreciation and Rampage of Appreciation. This is simply the practice of looking around your life, your body, your day, your relationships, and finding things that are genuinely working. Not forcing gratitude, not performing positivity, but actually looking until you find something real. The warmth of the bed you're in right now. The fact that your body breathed all day without you having to think about it. One person in your life who has been kind to you. One moment today that was okay. Abraham says appreciation is one of the highest vibrational states available to a human being. And even 5 minutes of genuine appreciation before sleep shifts the tone of everything that follows. The second process is called Wouldn't It Be Nice If? This is a gentle game of positive imagination. Instead of planning and strategizing, which tends to activate the analytical, worried mind, you simply muse. You wonder. You let yourself imagine good things without needing them to be guaranteed. Wouldn't it be nice if tomorrow felt a little easier? Wouldn't it be nice if that conversation went better than I expect? Wouldn't it be nice if I woke up feeling rested and clear? This process works because it activates positive expectation without the pressure of certainty. It is upstream of hope and downstream of worry. It is the sweet spot where the vortex becomes accessible. The third is what Abraham calls moving up the emotional scale. They describe a scale of emotions that runs from the lowest vibrations at the bottom, shame, despair, powerlessness, all the way up to the highest, joy, love, appreciation, freedom. The key insight is that you don't have to jump from the bottom to the top. You just need to reach for the next slightly better feeling. If you are in despair, anger is actually an improvement. If you are in anger, frustration is better. If you are in frustration, hope is better still. Each small movement up the scale is a real shift, and real shifts accumulate. Now let's spend a moment on what Abraham says about soulmates and the idea of the perfect relationship. Because this is where the vortex offers something genuinely different from most relationship advice. Abraham says, there is no single person who is your soulmate, in the sense of one destined person you must find or be forever incomplete. That framing, however romantic, actually creates enormous resistance. It creates scarcity. It creates desperation. And desperation is one of the fastest ways out of the vortex. What Abraham says instead is this: there are countless people who could be a wonderful match for you. The question is never whether they exist. The question is whether you are vibrationally available to them. Whether you are in a state of openness and alignment that allows them to find their way to you. And the most powerful thing you can do to attract a loving relationship is not to search harder or try more tactics. It is to become someone who is already living in the vortex. Someone who is already predominantly happy. Already appreciating life. Already feeling love even before the specific person arrives. Because that state is magnetic. People who are genuinely happy, genuinely at ease with themselves, genuinely in love with their own life, are irresistible. Not in a performance way. In a real, energetic, this person has something I want to be around way. The relationship you want, Abraham says, is in the vortex. And so is the version of you who is a match to it. Your work is simply to close the gap between where you are now and that version of yourself. There is a section of the book that addresses something many readers find deeply moving. The question of what happens in relationships that have already ended badly. Relationships marked by pain, betrayal, disappointment, or loss. Abraham's response is gentle but clear. The pain you feel in the aftermath of a difficult relationship is not caused by the other person. It is caused by the gap between where you are vibrationally and where your inner being, your larger non-physical self, is standing. Your inner being does not condemn that person, does not hold resentment, does not need the story to be different. Your inner being has already moved forward, already found the gifts in the experience, already knows what it generated in terms of new desires and new expansion. When you are in pain about a past relationship, you are arguing with your own inner being. You are holding a position your higher self has already released. This does not mean you should pretend you're not hurt. It means that healing, real healing, comes not from processing the wound endlessly, but from gradually, gently, finding your way back into alignment with who you really are. Back into the vortex, where your inner being already is, waiting for you. As we move toward the close tonight, let's gather the thread of everything Abraham is really saying in this book. You are a being of tremendous value and worthiness. That worthiness is not conditional. It does not depend on what you have achieved or who has loved you, or whether your life looks a certain way. It is inherent. It is who you are at the core of your existence. The vortex is not somewhere you have to earn your way into. It is your natural state. It is where you came from and where your broader self always is. Out of the vortex is actually the aberration, the detour, the temporary misalignment. And the path back is not effort. It is not willpower. It is not self-improvement in the conventional sense. It is simply the consistent, gentle, patient practice of reaching for thoughts that feel better, of finding things to appreciate, of allowing yourself to imagine good things, of treating your emotional state as the most important indicator you have, of following the feeling of relief, of ease, of opening, wherever it leads. That is the practice. Simple, not always easy, but always available. So as you close your eyes tonight, try this. Think of one thing in your life that is working. It doesn't have to be big. The softness of where you're lying. The fact that this day is done and rest is here. One person who has shown you kindness. One moment this week that felt genuinely good. Rest there. Let that feeling expand just slightly. Don't force it. Just allow it. And if you can, before sleep takes you, let yourself wonder, just gently, just softly. Wouldn't it be nice if tomorrow held something good? Wouldn't it be nice if something unexpected and wonderful made its way toward you? Wouldn't it be nice if the best parts of your life were not behind you, but still ahead? Let those thoughts drift. Let them be light and easy. You don't need to figure anything out tonight. The vortex is not somewhere you have to travel to. It's something you relax into. And sleep, it turns out, is one of the most natural ways to get there. Let go of the day. Let go of the thoughts. Let go of the trying. You are already more aligned than you know. Good night.